Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope all of you are doing well. So, today we're going to be taking a closer look at the 1990 Flash series. Way before we would get the CW Flash starring Grant Gustin, we actually had a Flash series that starred John Wesley Shipp as well as Mark Hamill. And it was short lived, it only. Lasted like a handful of episodes, maybe around like 20 something episodes, and then it was canceled. I think there was talks about potentially doing another season, but the viewership was just not there. But John Wesley Shipp was able to get a second chance at playing the speedster in the newer series with Grant Gustin. He was not only able to portray this Barry Allen and the Crisis on Infinite Earth crossover, but he was also able to portray Jay Garrick, who is a well-known speedster in the Flash comics. I believe Jay Garrick is the first Flash that we got in the comics before Barry Allen, I believe. And the series has been released numerous times. Same artwork, but I've noticed that the discs have all changed throughout the years, which I'll get into. And most recently, I believe sometime last year, this series finally got a Blu-ray release through the Warner Archive. And it's a 4K scan. I've watched comparison videos and I have heard that it's actually a good transfer. So I do plan to eventually upgrade, but with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. We have this really cool exclusive slip. This is one of the slips that you would see at Walmart. It's got the Flash's, pretty much his mask, which is pretty cool, and the wings and everything. It's pretty decent. Not a whole lot going on, but I like it. And the back just shows Flash. And there's the spine, and then of course you slide it off, and then there's our iconic cover, which is the cover for pretty much all the releases. Our spine, and then the back, giving you guys a description of the series, your specs, your credits, and all that cool stuff. Now, unfortunately, there are no special features, which is unfortunate. The series itself, because it was in the 90s, widescreen really wasn't a well-known thing, so a lot of television and movies were in the standard definition format. So you're not going to get anything that's like widescreen or anything to that nature. So not bad, not a whole lot going on, but let's go ahead and open this up. And here are the discs. Now this has had multiple releases when it comes to like the series itself. The discs have always changed. There's been discs where it's just plain gray. And then I believe there might have been a release where the discs were flipper discs. Do not quote me on that. But this one, we actually have artwork to them, which I think is pretty cool. So here we have disc 1 with the Flash, played by John Wesley Shipp, Barry Allen. Then disc 2 has the Trickster, played by Mark Hamill. We have disc 3 and disc 4. Now, the actress who plays the Doctor in this film, she would go on and uh, guest star on the original Flash series, and we finally got an interaction with her and John Wesley Shipp after decades of them working on the series. Here's disc 5 and disc 6. So it is a 6-disc set. There are a lot of familiar faces, and what I do like about this series is, well, it's not more about the series, but it's more the fact that when the Flash spinoff came after the success of Arrow, I think the Flash came during Arrow's like 3rd season, we were able to get a second chance with the 90's series. They brought in Mark Hamill, John Wesley Shipp, and a few other familiar faces from the original series. So in a way, we got the series got a second chance. I wish they would revisit the series in some way. I mean, you can do something slightly different, but all in all, not a bad series. I think it has grown on people over the years and has grown a cult following. And then, of course, with a lot of TV shows, you do get an episode guide. So, of course, it looks just like the cover. It gives you the actors and the characters they play. Barry Allen, the Flash, is played, of course, by John Wesley Shipp. Tina McGee is played by Amanda Pass. Um, Julio Mendez is played by Alex Desert, and Paula Marshall, who's part of the pilot and the pilot only, plays Iris West. Yes, we do get Iris West, but unfortunately, she's only in the pilot. So, they go completely different with this Barry Allen compared to the other carnations that we have gotten of the Scarlet Speedster, especially the 2014 series. Now, Amanda Pays, who plays Tina McGee, she would be able to come back. I think she actually plays that character, but in a different Earth, which is pretty cool. So yeah, really, really cool to include, who the actors are playing. And then, of course, we get a description of our episodes, the titles, and it does fold out, and you do get some images as well. A lot of shows did this back in the day. I think there might have been a season or two of Smallville that has done it. And then a lot of times they put the episodes as the interior artworks. When you open the case, a lot of times it's going to be the interior artwork. I know, like Power Rangers, the seasons do that. So you kind of get an idea of what episodes are what and on what disc. And, I do like the fact that you do get a description of the episode, but not only that, you get the original air date, you get who the episode was directed by, and who wrote the episode. So I think that's pretty cool. Just gives you like a little brief history on, the original air date and things like that. So is it goofy and cheesy? Absolutely. But as you get older and you revisit the series, you have more an appreciation for it. Now the pilot itself is I think like an hour and a half film basically. And what's interesting about this pilot is that this Barry Allen actually has a family. He has parents, he's got siblings, way different from the CW series. So it's interesting when you've watched the CW series and you revisit this series and you see all the differences, and you're just like, wait, what? So I thought that was cool. Now, I don't know why they decided not to bring Iris West, in this series, except for just the pilot. And is interesting is they kind of made Tina McGee be more of the love interest for Barry Allen. So I thought that was interesting. But all in all, it's a fun series. Like I said, it kind of grew a cult following over the decades and finally got a Blu-ray release under the Warner Archive label, and it's a 4K transfer from what I've heard. So eventually I do plan to upgrade. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you've seen this series, I would love to hear what your opinion is on this series. I love it. The Flash is one of my favorite DC heroes of all time. I feel like he is stronger than Superman, given the fact that he can time travel, not just in the past, but into the future as well. And I feel like there's a lot he can do, and I think a lot of the other DC heroes and villains really underestimate him. Even though he's not perfect, he does tend to make a lot of mistakes, especially when it comes to altering the timeline. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much. You guys have a good one. Take care, and I will see you guys next time.